Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Welcome to While You're Reforging. If you are new to this is my weekly show where we hang out, we just chat all about Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, and all the things coming out from Games Workshop. And it's sort of my informal show just to really just hang out with people, be a part of the community and stuff. It just occurred to me that I forgot to put music on like I normally do, so give me just 1 second while I'm doing that. And while that's going down, I will explain essentially how this show works. If it's your first time joining me, I'm going to go through a series of different topics for the day, and that's things like hobby progress, news in terms of like articles that come out of Warhammer community, games played, and then just kind of talk about some various things throughout the hobby, things that I'm excited for, all that kind of stuff. So the way that I do my show is, instead of like stopping my thought and that kind of stuff to reply to every single comment that drops, basically I just have, set points in between sections, like in between hobby progress and news. I'll open up the chat and we can just talk about the last segment and what you're excited for in the next, that kind of thing. So let me know if that music ever gets a bit too loud. I had the settings adjusted for let's see, some live streaming that I was doing. Let me pop out the chat so I can see it easier. And here we are. So thank you guys. Now I'm all set up. We can see and hear you. Thank you, Jamie. Thank God it's Friday. Glad to make the opening. Coming in loud and clear. Thank you so much. And Willie is the all-star because we got some cool stuff to talk about. I'm not going to waste any time and jump straight into hobby progress. So lots of stuff this week. I'm going to go to the downward cam here. Let me make sure everything's working. It certainly is. Boop. All right. Let's see. I'm going to start with the less exciting thing for you guys, anyway. So I got a few things. This is my Pirate Lab case. Actually, let me go back to this cam. It's a little bit easier to show you here. It's kind of like a fancy, I don't know, carry-on luggage type case. My mother-in-law got it for me. I never heard of the company. She got it for me years ago. But it's more about what's inside the case that matters for us today. So, as many of you know, I have begun playing Star Wars Legion because there's a local store that I really enjoy supporting, and they have done a great job in terms of keeping the store cleanly and that kind of stuff. Regarding, in Iowa, our rules are a little bit lax when it comes to being able to get together and play games, much to the detriment of public health, but that's my own opinion. Anyway, so there is a Star Wars Legion, and this store is particularly focused on health and safety. So, with all those prefaces out of the way, I have a Hoth army that I am building, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some pictures up on Instagram here when I'm all done. But if you guys remember, I actually had a droid army. And I didn't realize, because there's only 4 factions in Star Wars Legion, you're a bit more hemmed in terms of what each does. Like, the droid army is the Horde army, quote unquote. It's like 36 models, which, any Warhammer player laughs in Skaven. But whatever. And I didn't quite like that. It was just not my style. I'm not typically a Horde army guy. I like the way they look, but with the droids in particular, they just weren't really standing out to me. And so I actually sold those off on eBay and was able to buy a bunch of Rebel stuff, which I'm excited for a few reasons. One, Hoth is my favorite battle from the OG series. And also because the Rebels are unique in that they have a bunch of alien sculpts. So there's just different things to paint. So we have Hoth warriors. Here's a guy with a gun emplacement. I'm still working on the base there for him. And I know they just look stark white right now. A little bit unimpressive, but they are quite cool. Then we got this base, which I like quite a bit. Little icy, sheets of ice and that kind of stuff. And what goes on that magnet, you might ask, on the very tip? It's the Snowspeeder, and I am so excited to paint this guy. It's ridiculous. So, there's that, and because I am consistent in every game that I play, I also have these guys. This is like a fixed artillery piece And they are decidedly not good in the game, but my god, I love them. I think they're super cool. When they do something in the game, they're the best at it. So any kind of defensive strategy or anything like that is wonderful. Basically, for this first wave of things, I just went out and I bought stuff that looked and reminded me of Hoth. But in the future, I'm going to grab other Rebel stuff and just paint it up with kind of Hoth colors. I also have the, thanks to Willie in the chat, who's an absolute gentleman, I have the limited edition Luke Skywalker where he's on Hoth in his little jumpsuit. And I am just excited. So, a lot of cool things going on there. And again, I don't talk about it too much on the channel because I don't think people are super interested in it, but let me know if you are. I can at least do like an army showcase or whatever when it's all done. I'm certainly not going to get into Star Wars lore. That's its own headache. Its own fandom with its own people and problems. So anyway, that was all of that. But the main event. Oh, I want to pause right here. Hios06, welcome to Battleline. Buddy, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If there's a question, you want to ask the group, I definitely consider signing up as a member as part of like a donation. So absolutely, please let me know. So we got these. If they look familiar to you, because if you've seen the Games Workshop preview of Warhammer Quest Cursed City, their books are styled the exact same way. In fact, I can even show that to you. Let's see. Give me one moment. I'm just going to scroll down here. I'm looking for a very specific picture. And I'm going to skip this song because it is not my jam. Okay, oh my god, there's so many flippin' pictures on their big reveal show. Okay, move the chat, get this, go to the shared screen. So here we are. There have been a lot of folks who are asking about Warhammer Quest. Cursed City obviously is something that people are very excited for. One thing that they have said very clearly is that Warhammer Quest Cursed City is a modified or updated, streamlined version of Warhammer Quest Silver Tower. They are based on the same function, like game engine style thing. And so, Warhammer Willie in the chat was kind enough that there's a local store near him that had Silver Tower, and so he sent me a copy, and the Luke that came, the special edition Luke. And so, basically, we're going to talk about this more in the main subject as I talk about, Warhammer Quest and a new group I'm creating called the Quest Gang, where we'll be playing this online. But if we look at this stuff, right, the actual contents and how the game functions is extremely similar now that I have Silver Tower in hand and I can kind of cross-reference stuff. Essentially, there's a rule book, which is this guy. They call it the guidebook in the original one. And this gives you the basic mechanics of how your characters do actions, how they take damage, how the AI, so to speak, works in terms of behavior charts, that kind of thing. And then there's the quest book behind it. And if you are not familiar, this is a story-based game. Essentially, this book takes the role of GM for you. And so every time you do an action, you enter a new room or you search for something, it'll say, hey, read part, well, I'm just going to pick a random one, 59. And so you would read this little section here and then follow the instructions on there, and it would generate your dungeon adventure. Now, the core set was really good for a base of 8 games, or 8 sessions, each session being a full, exploration of the Silver Tower. And then you can do it again with different heroes, kind of a thing. Whereas I do believe Cursed City, in much of the same vein as what's it called? Blackstone Fortress, is going to be much more expandable, right? Because with this stuff, the only expansions you can add is you have to have a whole new quest book, which is doable for sure. But the way that they, add new enemies and stuff like that, it would be a little bit awkward. So what we're looking at here, we got our heroes, our 42 hostiles, objective markers, war scrolls, so we could play them in AOS, which is a feature that the old one didn't have. this feature here, counters and tokens, looks identical to what Silver Tower has in terms of as you are fighting your way through the Silver Tower, you are accruing experience, and every time you do a full lap on this chart, you level up and you get a new skill. That's basically it. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is I'm excited that I got Silver Tower because it's going to be a primer. We'll talk about it more at the end of the show for the main topic. So on the note of what I've been doing, it was finally nice to go prime. So we have here a whole heap and heckin' ton of Silver Tower models. We got all the heroes, we got a bunch of Tzeentch stuff. Honestly, I was thinking, I did the math, and I think if I just bought like 2 boxes of Carrick Acolytes, I could have a full Tzeentch army with all the Slaves to Darkness stuff that I still have. Would it be good? No, not even a little. Would it be fun? Maybe? Would it be cost effective? Absolutely. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of just thinking about that a little bit. Very excited to dig into these guys. I put a poll, not really a poll, I just asked people to comment that we'll check here in a second on what Stormhost our Stormcast buddy should be from. Real Ones Jack, hey buddy, how you doing? So we'll go to check that out in a little bit. But yeah, very excited. And so we'll talk more about how I'm going to be playing Silver Tower and then Cursed City with y'all here in a bit. So that'll be the main topic for the day. And so that is my hobby progress. So lots of stuff built and painted for Star Wars Legion for my local league. But the second that Silver Tower came in the mail, I think it came on Tuesday or Wednesday. That's all I've been doing because it'd been building, priming, and I'm about to start painting. So I'm very excited about that. My thought is I'm going to kind of keep the villains on the simpler end of painting and then really dive into the heroes, doing the best I can on painting them individually one by one. So that is my thought, at least. I'm not going to do a lore contest because I still this coming week I'm going to start doing the last lore contest winners, but I do actually want to make custom backgrounds for each of these little guys and let players kind of fill in and write that stuff out. So if you are a writer and or really prolific at making role-playing game characters, pick one of the heroes and start thinking about some ideas. I'm going to throw some stuff out there for you. So yeah, collectively we'll make backgrounds for every one of the characters, and including the villains, because why not? You know, every Gaunt Summoner has a story, and we'll just kind of go from there. And then I'll probably do the same thing for Cursed City, although the villains in Cursed City do have names and like a history. And so do the heroes, now that I think about it. But I'm sure there'll be expansions where you can have generic people that are like, Stormcast bro, you know, generic stuff. So anyway, that is it for me when it comes to hobby progress. I'm going to pause here, and we'll check out the chat, see what everybody else has been working on and that kind of thing. Let's see. Snowspeeder looks fun to paint. Yeah. Let's see. I have Star Wars Legion looks really good. I'd totally get into it if people could play as Jawas. Oh, Jabba's forces. Oh, like the like mercs and stuff. I would love that. If they came out with like a Scum and Villainy, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But I think it would be... So right now, if you don't know, Star Wars Legion is a game that is a miniatures game that has been produced by Fantasy Flight Games. And Fantasy Flight is a subsidiary of a company called Asmodee Games, which have a few companies, another one of which is Atomic Mass Studios or Games. Atomic Mass, I just call them that. But essentially they're moving the game development and taking the lead developers, so they're not like losing anything, they're just kind of doing an internal like reshuffle. Fantasy Flight's gonna be more focused on board games, Atomic Mass more on miniature games. That's all it is. It's an internal swap, but because of that, it kind of clogs up a lot of the works when it comes to production. I imagine that the Atomic Mass guys are very excited to start introducing new stuff in terms of new factions or new heroes and that kind of thing. However, the production time, knowing that it just translated from one company to the next, it's probably going to take a while. So, you know, it is what it is. It's a fantastic game. It's very simple to learn. It is a full war game in terms of you have vehicles and heroes and all these kinds of crazy awesome things, but it functions like a skirmish game. I go, you go. You don't always know which of your units is going to go, but you can mitigate some of that risk. You got long range guns. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff in there. But anyway, that's me waxing poetically about that. Let's see. Snowspeeder looks fun to paint. Yeah. Sean, hey Doug, how's it going? Missed the last few streams. What new army are you working on for AOS at the moment? Boom. So for me, what am I doing? I'll be honest with you, I'm not working on anything for AOS. It's Star Wars Legion, Warhammer Quest, and I'll probably, like I said, get some Tzeentch stuff just so I can take what's in here, because there's enough heroes and that kind of stuff to do some fun Tzeentchy things. And I'll probably, because if I bought like a box of Zangors and a box of Carrick Acolytes in the Battle Tome, that's not very much, and it's a whole new army. Why not? You know, that's kind of like the glory of playing Slaves to Darkness. I guess technically that's kind of the next thing I'm thinking about. Wargamer, really, I knew in my heart you'd be enjoying that Luke Skywalker 1,000 times more than I would. Oh, buddy, thank you so much. My group is currently playing Silver Tower. Oh, sweet. That's awesome, dude. I love it. After all Doug has done for this community, asking nothing for it at all. Oh, no. You're too good. Let's see. Talking about working out. Get out of here with that. I'm just kidding. Y'all are doing great. Keep it up. I'm actually going on a nice long walk today. Let's see. Finished Silver Tower a month ago. I'm hoping Curse City is much more challenging. Currently playing Blackstone Fortress. Only one match through and got crushed. Loving it. Yeah, I've heard complaints that Silver Tower is a bit easy. And I'm okay with that. In fact, one of the things that I'm really excited about is taking Cursed City rules and then retroactively applying them to Silver Tower. So more enemies, that kind of stuff, just kind of increasing the difficulty. But I'm curious as to how they're going to do it. And so I want to copycat. But I thought for the first few times of testing the stream setup with doing it live with people, an easy game is not something I'm going to complain about when it comes to learning a new skill technology wise and how I edit it and that kind of stuff. So most likely it'll be incredibly simple and no heroes will ever get hurt. That's okay, because it's more about me learning how to do the YouTube stuff. But I'm glad to hear that you really enjoyed Blackstone Fortress. Started getting ready to DM my D&D group. We're all new. Ambitious. I respect it. Let's see. Also taking part in a Warhammer Fantasy RPG, playing as a Nuln Scholar and currently in Middenheim. I believe it's called. My first time doing it. Yeah, dude. That's rad. I love it. I love hearing... I just like hearing that kind of stuff, I like the old world RPG and that kind of thing. I think it's rad. As for games played this week, you can add exotic enemies. Yes, Silver Tower does have exotic enemies, and they allow you to kind of ramp up the difficulty. They're kind of like mini bosses. Let's see. Is it Coin White? Oh, this is a weird song where it's just somebody yelling for 10 minutes. Okay, sorry. Thoughts on the mysterious little guy serving glucose in his model? Do you think it could be a gnome? Would it be cool? Would be cool to see you do a short video on gnomes. I heard they might exist in Warhammer. I know nothing about it. All I know is they just made a short little dude to hand him his drink. That's all I know. And it doesn't need to be more than that. But if they do come out with lore for him and there's a whole new species or race or something, absolutely I'll do that. I'm new to D&D. Was wondering if the big adventure books are one big story or some smaller linked. That is not for me to say. I'm not a D&D guy. My first role-playing game was actually with a viewer. Had a wonderful time. He introduced me to his friends group. And we played a thing of D&D just to get me kind of into the genre, I guess, of games. And then since then, I've played nothing but Soulbound with Biofoot, and I'm loving it. I'm actually going to maybe be recreating a character. So once you finish like a major quest, goal, or story arc in Soulbound, you can either take a bunch of experience and dump it into your dude and make him a badass, or you can reset, get a new character. Your GM then takes control of, you know, the character you made before, if they want to bring him up for some reason. And what is it? And then you can create a new one. So my thought is like, well, so my last character that I had, his name was Vicar Urian. He is an Excelsior War Priest, and hey, now I have an Excelsior War Priest model. And you're thinking, Doug, how can you pass up an opportunity to have a model of your exact guy? But the thing is that the story I made for Vicar is he wanted to cleanse the chaos in a specific region of Uran so that he could establish a Church of Sigmar. And so by that logic, last week we cleared out all the chaos forces. We, revitalized this section of Uran. This coming week, we're going to go and turn that quest in. I guess we did make it back. I don't know if we really turned it in. But, and so it is a natural breaking point for my guy's character. You could be like, okay, well, we did the thing we're going to do. He's just going to stay in town and establish a church. So it absolutely perfectly makes sense with his character arc as to why he would stay. And so I'm just kind of thinking like, do I want to take him on further adventures? What would his goal? Because then I have to rewrite his goals anyway, as if he was a new character with some other big, thing in mind. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with him. But part of me just wants to, play as an Iden Deepkin, a Kellian dude riding around on eelback and stabbing people in the face because that's awesome. So I think that would be super cool. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, honestly, I was looking at some of the Lumineth units in the new Champions of Order thing. That didn't really grip me too much. I will say the bull-headed warrior guys, I can never remember their names. They are pretty cool. I will give them that. They are pretty cool. They're very tanky. So yeah, I think honestly, when it comes to most of those kinds of games for our party, we have a pretty good mix of melee blenders, ranged stuff. I think I would either want to be a ranged fighter or at least a support one, where I can buff other people in my group. So I think that would be really cool. Let's see. All right, so games played. I only have one to really share. I did play Star Wars Legion because the previous weekend I was going to see family during the preview event. So played one game, and it was a rough one, to be honest with you. I didn't realize how it went until I got home and tried to relax. So essentially, on Monday night, my local store that I'm playing the Star Wars Legion at had everybody who's going to be participating in a league come together. Now, here's what I expected. About 12 guys chilling, guys and gals. There are women in the group. Just chilling and, getting to know each other and kind of deciding, okay, how are we going to do this? Like almost 30 people showed up. To the point where I became very uncomfortable in the store. Like it got kind of crammed. And so, again, it's Iowa. We have our own state laws when it comes to COVID stuff. Nobody was breaking the law. Was it unwise? Yeah, I didn't like it. So essentially, in the beginning, I got there and there was like 6 guys. I was like, oh, sweet. And so the guy was like, hey, you want to play a game? It's like, okay, so it's like my second game, my first game with these rebels, would you mind walking me through stuff? And then just on a personal level, I ran out of my mood stabilizing medication. And so I was having a rough day. We're good now, but I kind of had a little bit of a minor anxiety attack, just with the overwhelmingness. I wasn't expecting to play that night of all the rules and that kind of stuff. It got to be a bit much. And then of course, as you turn around and there's just like a crowd of people there standing over you, it was a bit much. And so, even though I had a good time, it was an extremely educational game against a incredibly patient opponent. I was just not in the right headspace. I should have just said, nah, I'm good, I'm gonna sit out tonight. And then we had the meeting at 6:30 where all the participants came together, and basically the store owner just laid out the rules for us of like, you know, we're not trying to cram 30 people into the store every week. He broke us into pods of about 7 people, and the whole thing is like, hey, you have 9 weeks to play everybody in your pod, which is like very chill. You know, I like that. So I'm excited for it because of what it means for the future. So it was a rough night. I got my face crushed, but I did do some cool stuff. That snow speeder is a boss. Basically, I had him. There's a character pilot named Wedge Antilles you can put inside the speeder, and he lets you like turn 360 like once per game kind of a thing. So normally he would have to like, you know, kind of inch like in little 45-degree arcs or whatever, but he went straight at the enemy headlong, did a 180, pooped a bomb out the back end onto somebody else, and then jetted away. It was so cool. So it's everything you wanted your snow speeder to do. I like it. Let's see. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat here. I don't miss anything. Alarith, Stone Mage, and Stone Guard. Stone Guard was the one I was thinking of. Although the Stone Mage does look cool, I will say. He's kind of a priestly character, but I just had a priest character. And I guess Vicar would have been more interesting if I had picked better miracles. You know, like his equivalent to spells if he's a wizard, that kind of stuff. I had one attack prayer, and it was really good. Like the times it worked, it's like a nuclear bomb. But the problem is, it only worked in my zone. So like for the big final battle, I didn't contribute much because the enemy was so far away. Our melee folks ran forward. Our ranged guys were like on some kind of barracks type thing, and so they were all shooting, and I was just kind of in the back, just like waiting for a bus. That's basically the facial expression my character had the whole time. So I think it went really, really well. But I learned a lot from that first game, where now I'm like, okay, I need to have more interactive abilities in terms of how can I, you know, reach out and hurt enemies or buff allies, that kind of stuff, just to contribute more. And I might actually do a video on that. I might do a farewell video, an ode to Vicar Urian. Let's see. Give me 1 second. We're going to move into the news here. I'm just going to answer these last few questions here. Did you take Unburden Thyself? So I did take Unburden Thyself. That's a dialogue-based one. That's not a explosion thing. I don't know what the explosion thing you mean is. Unburden Thyself. So I took Vicar as a way to like have like a charisma kind of character, like someone who can pull information out of people. And he did it like twice, I think, maybe. But our whole story arc had us out in the wilderness adventuring, so there wasn't a lot of people to like interrogate. And that's not a slight on the story. Like I absolutely loved Biofoot. He put it together. I loved it. I just feel like I didn't contribute as much as the other members of the team, but it's cool. It's learning, you know. That is learning. There's just character creation. How can I interact more with my, I almost said coworkers, with my fellow characters, and then the world and that kind of stuff. So it was it's been awesome, and I'm going to continue to play. Would you be tempted to practice on Tabletop Simulator before you go to League games to have a chance of winning? Or are you okay with just playing and learning live? I am okay with both, actually. I think Star Wars Legion is a much simpler game, so I would be more okay with that, quite frankly, on Tabletop Simulator. And Warcry, I would do that on Simulator as well. I need to figure out how to do those things. But, yeah. You know, it is what it is. I'd be more than happy to do that. I'm also not opposed to getting my face curb stomped weekly, you know. Although I chatted with some of the people in my little gaming pod that I have to play these 9 weeks, and there's like 2 guys who are like super competitive. I mean, they're super nice, but I mean, like they enjoy the competitive aspect of the game. They build killer lists and that kind of stuff. One of them was the very nice gentleman I played against on Monday night. And so So he's in my pod, which is fantastic because he's a great help and resource for asking questions. But then there's a few of folks who are much more casual, like I am, where they're like, hey, I got into this because I watched the latest Star Wars movie, hated it, and cleansed my palate by watching the original trilogy, and I wanted to paint blank. You know what I mean? So those are my people. Actually, I had a great conversation with my buddy Robbie. If you don't know, he's the one I've been playing a lot of Warcry games with lately. He's also in the Star Wars Legion thing, so our campaign is kind of paused right now because we have to get these games in with the group that we're a part of. But he had messaged me, said, I'm kind of nervous about joining the league because I don't want to just get crushed all the time, and I'm afraid that there are all these competitive people that I'm not going to jive with. And I said, hey, listen, I could totally get it. Here's how this is going to work. And I basically explained to him my perspective on events and tournaments, which is you're going to go and you're going to get dick kicked round 1. And that's going to drop you to the very, very bottom of the barrel where I'm at. And then you're going to play against other people who are also there to have fun. So take your one game, get crushed, ask a ton of questions, try and laugh as much as you can, and then you're amongst your people. And that's exactly how I view all of those things. Most of the events and stuff that I go to, round 1, I take that L, I wear it proudly, and then I'm just hanging around with people who are there to be casual. Hashtag fun bracket. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Is it Storm? Hey Doug, do you plan on making more narrative Warcry battle reports? I do, but here's the thing about those. I want to include other people. And right now, in this time of isolation, I'm desperately looking for ways to hang out with other people to do the kinds of content that I want to do. And so that's actually why I kind of switched gears temporarily to doing, Warhammer Quest and that kind of stuff live. And then we're going to do the game. We're going to stream the game, and then I'm going to cut it, edit it, and compress it into like a 30-minute maybe max. Much more exciting, video to watch for other folks, so you can actually see the story play out. So that's my vision for that, and that's why I've kind of gone so heavy into the quest thing, is because I have a way of doing that with other people. Because if I do Warcry narrative battle reports, it's just me playing my own solo mode, which is fine. I know a lot of people love it. I do too, but there's just something that's missing when you're not hanging out with other people, or you can't anticipate their moves, or, helping someone come up with a really crazy combination, that kind of stuff. So I love that. So I have all the terrain for it. I'm so excited to do it. I might put out one random one just because I promised the terrain guys at 3D Egos that I would do one. But for the most part, I want to focus on community building things, hanging out with people, opponents, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Let's see. I keep a plushy rainbow dragon with me when I'm out at all times because it's so derpy. It helps me with my anxiety. Hey, that's rad. Whatever you got to do, There are worse habits. It could be a bottle of gin that you always have with you. I'm just saying, we all get through it somehow. It's just, my point is that is not an unhealthy thing compared to some that are very unhealthy. Are you going to make lore videos about the Siege of Har Huron that you missed in your Doc lore video? I want to take some time and I want to see the other side's perspective when they're sieging. But yes, I'm keeping my eye very much on that. People say I missed a whole bunch. Honestly, I didn't think there was a lot of information there to cover. I feel like it really boiled down to she took the city, Anvilgard, and Sigmar wants it back. But I'm like, that's not like a narrative beat in the same way of the way that Marathi orchestrated the siege of Anvilgard. It's more of a footnote wrapping up than it is like a story. So that's what I wanted to wait for. But yes. Gets hit or miss with a face character. That being said, I love Vicar's swagger. If he comes into my control, he'll be well taken care of. Yeah, you gotta just... I tried to add some swagger. There was a fun moment where the group was basically sneaking and surrounding a camp of beastmen. And I was the only one in the group that like failed their sneak roll, and I was like, okay, forget this. I'm gonna walk out straight and be a distraction. And so Vicar walks out and I was like, hey guys, can I give a little something to distract the group? And my soulbound group was like, yeah, go for it. I was like, you failed to go to church, and so church has come to you. And there's an Excelsior War Priest banging on stuff, making a whole bunch of noise. And so then from the tree line, the rest of my party fired and crushed them instantly. It was pretty fun. Is there any chance we can get a segment in the show called 2 Plus Tough 2 cents? Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, Lord knows I have opinions on everything. I don't always share them, but they're there. Let's see. Does anyone know if Infernal Machine Rebuild... Oh, sorry, Jamie, I don't know what that is. It's for D&D. Unfortunately, at my first game, at my last opponent I went to, I had a super fun opponent and accidentally crushed him, and then I got my butt handed to me game 2 because I joined the Meta Watch OVR player. That's amazing. Oh, it's not good when it pans out that way, but I think my last event I did that too, because I think I was with Jack at Blue Sky Hobbies in Bremerton. What was I playing? Jack, what was I playing that last one? I don't remember. It had to have been had to be Maggotkin, right? I don't know. Let's see. Just popping in, Apocalyptic Moth. Hey, buddy, it's been a bit. I always recognize your username, Apocalyptic Moth, because the Mothman is my favorite cryptid / creepy story from American history. So just that's a tidbit. There's your 2 plus tough 2 cents. What's the coolest monster / legend? Mothman. Anyway, what are your opinions on Cursed City? Any plans? I'm super into it. Yes. If you are not able to stay for the rest of the show, I would advise you to come back. The entire main segment of this at the end is going to be talking about my plans for playing Silver Tower, Cursed City, and maybe Shadows over Hammerhall with you guys on the stream on the channel. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. So now I'm going to move into the news here. Let me go to my shared screen. Now I do this every week, where basically we just kind of take a look at the GW news. Now I will be honest with you, I'm going to pull up the first one here for the Sunday preview. The Kill Team expansion that they had previewed a little bit while back now is up for pre-order. And let me get rid of this. There's no reason you need to see my ugly mug here. Boop. There we go. And so that's up for pre-order. And so I don't have a whole lot not quite as much going on. Again, if you are somebody who gets this, please, and I'm legitimately asking this, please let me know if you enjoy this and if it makes Kill Team more fun. They're not sending me an advanced copy, but I want so badly to love Kill Team. It's my style of game in terms of just a few models, because there's just a few models that I deeply love from 40k range, but I burn out when it comes to painting an entire army because I don't love them all, But if I could get into Kill Team and they kind of spruced up some of the rules and kind of, I don't know, did some fun stuff that wasn't just negative modifiers all the time, so everything hits on a 6, I think it would be rad. So that's all I'm going to throw there for now, but I just wanted to throw that. This is what is for pre-order. The Necron terrain does look rad, though. Let's be honest. Next news coming out yesterday. Warhammer 40k is coming to Magic the Gathering. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I could not care less about everything in this picture. I don't care about Space Marines. I don't care about Magic the Gathering. I've played it. It's a fun game. I don't really understand the competitive aspect of it. I don't think in those ways. I've enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed it when I was a kid, probably 10 or 11, I think, maybe. My brother he's a little bit older than me, and he was kind of more into it. But I don't know. I'm just saying, it's just not my jam. I originally asked, like, oh, is this just like a special edition, art card type thing? Like a series of art cards, but they're all existing in core Magic. Nope, they're getting an entire set, which is cool. I mean, one of the things that I had a discussion with, I think it was in the same chat as the Warhammer Weekly guys, my thought was, I feel like it was a missed opportunity, because if they had done the Magic the Gathering thing with AOS themed things, I feel like that would have been a fantastic way to tie in Warhammer Underworld, which is a deck building game that I think would really appeal to a lot of the Magic the Gathering players. But there was some discussion like, oh, okay, well maybe that's tied up in some other IP or licensing thing. So I don't know. I feel like that would have been a better move, because there's not like, how do you go from Magic the Gathering to 40K? You know, whereas I feel like having some semblance of a card type thing that would appeal to those players. And, you know, obviously this is fan service to 40K nerds, but they could have, I think, looped in more folks another way. That's all I wanted to comment on. I hope if you're excited about Warhammer 40K or Magic the Gathering, and you want those two things together, there you go. You have your chocolate vanilla swirl from the crappy ice cream machine that tastes amazing, and it shouldn't. Okay, here we go. One of the things that I do think is interesting is the way that they are boxing up terrain. Now, terrain has always been, for me personally, a sore spot in the hobby, in that we need it, right? You need it to play the game, to have diversity in your games of, like, you know, the rules. Like in AOS, obviously we roll off to see what terrain does. Factions have specific terrain, that kind of stuff. I love it all. The thing is, though, is that it just adds more things that people need to buy to be able to get into your hobby, and that's not good. However, with that Kill Team box set coming out, there's also this coming hot on its heels, and that is Kill Zones, essentially helping you create meaningful board experiences that can do cool things. And I'm very excited about that. You know, they're obviously they had Kill Zone boxes before with some terrain. These seem much more like dedicated support. I think the idea was you can pick up 2 boxes and have severables. Yeah. By combining 2 of the Kill Zone sets, both boards arranged side by side form the exact size battlefield you need for combat, patrol, and incursion games. So I think 1 is enough for a Kill Team board, 2 is enough for the small variant of 40K. That's a win. Like, to me, in my opinion, when it comes as a consumer of just like, how do I get this? I want good looking terrain. I want cool tables, but I don't want to invest hundreds of dollars and, you know, tons of aspirin because it's a headache to try and plan and paint it all. Boom. 1 box is a table. 2 boxes is 40K. 3 boxes is just, you know, larger scale stuff. And I think that's awesome. So even though I'm not sold on Kill Team yet, I will say I am happy that this is coming out, because I think with every release they learn more about consumer like desires, what makes better, you know, sales, that kind of stuff, what makes easier onboarding, lowers barrier to entries. And if you know, even if, like I said, I'm probably not going to pick up any of these. However, I do think that we as AOS players can still feel the benefit of it, because if it works here, they will definitely bring it over to AOS. That's what I think works. Next up, Warcry. And I do put these in order of how much they interest me. So now we're moving into the things. The temperature's rising a little bit in the pot. Welcome to Call of the Everchosen, the first in a new series dedicated to the Warcry community. First of all, thank you. These articles will feature all sorts of free campaigns, challenge battles, allied heroes, and more. One of the best things about Warcry is there has been so much free stuff for it, and I love it. Hanging out with rules writer Sam Pearson. He's my hero, patron saint of fun. With the recent release of 4 Grand Alliance books for Warcry, every faction has received a wealth of new options for fighters and abilities to use them in games. What got us excited about this in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar studio was conjuring up ideas for campaigns set outside the Bloodwind Spoil across a varied and vast mortal realms themselves. So, yeah, taking Warcry out of the 8 points. That was a design decision, narrative-wise, that I didn't really care for in the beginning, and I'm glad they're kind of moving away. At the same time, the Broken Realms series has kicked off with explosive revelations inside Broken Realms Morathi, so we thought it'd be exciting to put together a Warcry campaign that takes place over the final days of Anvilgard before its fall. In this campaign, one player takes the role of Kaiser Van Brecht, that's the Stormcast character, the staunch Lord Veritant and Anvils of the Helden Hammer, who is trying to uncover the plot behind a series of murders across the city. The other players takes the helm of the Black Scale Coil, a criminal organization that operates in the city's shadows. What makes this campaign cool are the decisions each player has to make between battles. For the player assuming the role of Van Brecht, you'll pick which areas of the city to search first. Will you venture out into the gullies or perhaps explore the vast undertunnels that lie below? For the Black Scale Coil player, you have to choose how to divide your assets among the different locations and decide which of them will stage an ambush. There are some extra tools and options for each player to use too. Van Brecht has his own fighter card and abilities, including some that allow him to interrogate an enemy mid-battle. That is rad. While the Black Scale Coil player can employ a Scourge Runner Chariot if they wish. That's cool. That's the biggest, infantry style model we've had for Warcry. And basically, it's everything to have cool stuff with the Star Collecting Anvilgard set, which I think is genius. I love the idea of taking a Star Collecting box and being like, here's a narrative that you can buy this one thing and just plug it into your game group, right? Because there's challenge battles that feature the Charybdis and Hydra. You can obviously use Scourge Runner Privateer and all the Privateer dudes as your actual Warcry pieces, and this campaign gives you access to the Chariot. Hell yeah. Like, that's awesome. With a little bit of imagination and tinkering, you could use this format for this campaign to tell a story suited to a different collection of Citadel miniatures. Okay? For example, one player could take the role of the Order of Azir hunting down a Tzeentchian cult or Skaven infiltrators in a city. Yes! Hell yeah! And then it's for free there, and it's just called The Purge of Anvilgard. If you know the story... Oh, it's only 4 pages? That's rad. If you know the story, essentially... Van Brecht was ruthless. When they brought him into the city, he was like kicking in doors, no-knock raids, interrogating people, putting them in prison, or the sword, just being a boss. He was just like, we're going to purge this city if I have to die trying, kind of a thing. So I think that was really cool. Let's see. Or McDonald, what do you think of Broken Realms Flashpoint and the White Dwarf? I have not read it yet. Hey, you. Let's see. 2+ stuff. I just ordered Neferata, Dominion of Bones. Thanks for the suggestion. You got it. It's a good book. Like it quite a bit. So that's my thoughts on the Anvilgard thing. I love this. I know Warcry is not everybody's jam. I do feel like the release of the 4 Grand Alliance books kind of gave it a soft reboot, like a soft second edition, because the core of the game I think works very well, but it was some of the lack of options and that kind of stuff when it came to your warband that were the problem. So I think that that's a great thing, and then there's also just a ton of free stuff for it, and to expand and dramatically change your games, 1 box of models, that kind of stuff, I dig it. So I'm into it. Let's see. Move past those. Now we have Cursed City news. The one alliance that turned prosperous Mournhold. Isn't Mournhold a city from Elder Scrolls 2? Am I just making that up? On Saturday, we revealed the full contents of Warhammer Quest Cursed City box. Today we explore the mean streets of Ulfenkarn, the backdrop where these legendary tales take place. And yes, before anyone asks, there will be a full lore video on Ulfenkarn once the book drops, or the game drops with the book inside. In the Age of Myth, 3 Azurite dynasties, House Altern, Vosheim, and Gaunt, built a stronghold deep in the heart of Shyish. The Ebon Citadel stood defiantly atop the harsh, windswept island of Sargarond. Man, they were not making this easy for me. Despite its surroundings, the area grew into a bustling metropolis. under the unfaltering leadership of noble lineages. This city was named Mournhold. The Dawn Age chaos tested these proud rulers of Mournhold as the city became the target of Slán the Ravener, demon prince in service of the Blood God. That's an interesting thing. I don't feel like I remember that. Maybe I do. It was a Khorne army. For years, the hordes of chaos laid siege to the city, eroding the defenses and sapping any hope for victory. This was the moment Radukar the Wolf arrived with his fleet, leading a company of Koskari ogres in defense of the city. Though whispers of the vampire's foul reputation preceded him, he was nevertheless heralded as the savior of the city. In return for defending the weakened stronghold from further attacks, he asked only for a place amongst the nobility and a willing offering of blood to slake his thirst. Seems like a fair deal. The two-headed wolf is a potent symbol of Radukar's power. Let's see. Noble houses had little choice but to accept his aid. And with that one alliance, Mournhold's fate was sealed. The prosperous town would never again know peace. In the years to come, it was only home to terrors. The descent into the cursed city that Mournhold is known as did not happen overnight. It was the beginning. The vampire lord took up residence in the mighty Ebon Citadel and brooded mostly in shadows. Okay, so I like this. We have a pretty good segue into why he is there. I wanna wait until I get the fuller picture with other stuff, but I like that. For me, the best stories are when terrible things happened because of good reasons, right? Like, we needed a defender, this guy shows up, it's like, oh man, our savior, and then things just go very wrong. So I like that. And then we have a fuller little bit of story on himself. There's the twin wolf thing going on there. I love it. And it's just more focus on his models. That's basically it. But I went into detail about this guy during the reveal show. Now, this is one I wanted to throw out there. This is an article that came out, I believe it's this morning. It is this morning. Basically, Games Workshop to promote Sigvald, who is getting a lore video this week coming up, guys. Don't worry about it. Sigvald, they gave him to 6 top-tier painters, and the results are magnificent. Now, I'm just going to say this honestly. The reason I had this article pulled up, I don't much care for painting stuff. However, I wanted to shout out Vince Ventrella. His is the top of the list, and it looks absolutely stunning. I know all the other painting ones look amazing, but I don't know those painters. I know Vince, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. So if you want to see this guy, go check out Vince Ventrella. That's how you spell the name of his channel. It is literally his name. Go check it out. He has fantastic painting tutorials. The man is very prolific when it comes to teaching folks how to paint and what looks good. For me personally, I don't understand painting enough to in the vocabulary of like, hey, if it's too dark here, how do I fix it? How do I add warmth? That kind of stuff. It boggles my mind, and quite frankly, I'm content with the way that I paint things. But if you would like to learn how to paint good, and I mean like G-U-D, good, get good at stuff, his channel is an immense resource for you. So definitely go check that out. And I'll just scroll down here. Colin Ward got his looking fly. I love the black cape on the pink armor. Andy Wardle, right on. Very classic looking guy. I like him. Peter Harrison, he went with the vampire route, which, I feel like if he's not an existing model, they need to get on that real quick. Richard Gray. Also, can we just point out the fact, this guy must sit at his desk and paint all day just because he can't walk around with his massive balls, because they sent him an advanced copy of a model and he was like, you know what if we just cut this thing to hell? And I respect that, because he has that whole neck piece, and the whole head is different. He reconstructed the entire left arm. I'm just saying, the dude is bold to be like, oh, thank you for this free thing that I need to paint. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it up. I don't have that much confidence. Richard Gray, incredible looking metallics, and of course the free hand on the shield. And then Sam Lenz, who I love this one because I really dig. I assume it's meant to be like a dark metallic, like non-metallic metal armor. I'm not quite sure. From my computer screen, it makes it look kind of like a shiny ebony type thing. But yeah, so those were the entries there. I just wanted to share that because Vince Ventrella is a friend of the channel, and always want to, I would like to at least praise him as a great part of the community as much as I make fun of him for predictions and feeling the need to be right about things. that is the goal of basically most of my relationships. And the last thing here is I did put this up here. I'm going to give it a few more hours before I announce a winner, but if you want to contribute, I have not chosen which storm host I want my Stormcast to be. Head over here and leave a comment down below. Basically, the only reason I didn't do an actual poll is because I couldn't put the picture up there at the same time as it was being weird. So go ahead, let me know what you want him to be. Let's see. And I think that is it for the news. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to pull out some paints and stuff, and I'm just going to hang out and paint up some Silver Tower things. I do have some stuff I have to do today, so I'm not going to be painting for very long, but give me just a moment and we'll get cracking on that. So let me pull up, tell you what, let's just leave that picture up here. Let me get everything together. So, let's see. We're still waiting to hear back on the storm host, but we can get started on some other stuff. Let's do some Carrick Acolytes. How about that? We'll see if I like these guys before I go spend money and buy more, right? That seems smart. Smart. Okay. And I think that's all of them. 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6. Yep. Okay. Just gonna do basic, boring stuff like throw it on the skin. Sorry for this delay here. Give me one moment. Sweet. Okay. Okay, I am back. Thank you all for your patience. I know that watching or listening to someone pull paints out of a tin is probably not the most exciting way to spend a Friday morning. Let's see. What do you think of Start Collecting Box for Lumineth Realm Lords, or do you think they will get a Realm Lords to replace Stormcast for the beginning of 3rd? I think they're pretty well locked in with Stormcast, if I'm perfectly honest with you. There we go. I don't see them veering into the point where they're going to replace Stormcast with Lumineth as sort of the main, hero type thing. But if they did, I'd be fine with that, to be perfectly honest with you. I really wouldn't care. I wouldn't. If they were like, hey, actually, we decided there are better poster boys than Stormcast Eternals, I'd be like, fair enough. Y'all do you. So we have some different kinds of skin here. I got Gilliman Flesh on this one. I'm also going to do some dark skin with Cygor Brown and some gross skin from one of the viewers actually showed it out, which is basically painting skin like Deepkin, but you use Agrex Earthshade instead of whatever they use on the tutorials. But it's like Deepkin flesh and that kind of stuff. So yeah. But I'll be honest, when it comes to just like normal Caucasian skin, like Gilliman flesh is white people. It's privilege in a bottle is what I've called it before. It's just a generic good base for Caucasian skin. And yes, that was intended to be a joke, everybody. Please don't at me. Oh man. Let's see. Vince is a saint, such an amazing, prolific, creative. Yeah, he's great. He's great until he starts telling you your army's trash. Hey, again, just a little dig. Let's see. Stormcast needs some narrative love. They can't win a battle to save their lives lately. Yeah, they're like I feel like they're like 0-2 with Nagash, even though they did really well against Chaos at the end of that. Anyway, okay, so I have a main topic I need to cover before I start just waxing poetically. So the main topic is my plans for the Warhammer Quest games. So, in this time of separation where we can't hang out with each other in person, I think it would be really cool to put together a show where I have guests come on and they take control of a character from one of the Warhammer Quest games, and we basically play a game together. I take care of the cards and kind of organizing stuff for the most part, but players will tune in and kind of add their 2 cents to what they think a character would be like, do a little bit of role playing, and I reserve the right to do GM stuff like screw up their plans and make things more difficult than the game initially did, that kind of stuff. So my thought was I'm going to create a special Discord where, and I already created it, I have a number generator and that kind of stuff, where basically, you know, we'll schedule times for people in the UK and the US, and, you know, all points in between, but those are the 2 major places that I chat to on a daily basis. So we'll do that, and then have games online. So I'll have it set up here. I'll make a cool green screen backdrop so it looks like the tiles are kind of floating in smoke within the ether, and then we can just literally play the game together, and I think that would be a ton of fun. So yeah, and that way we have a rotating cast, because basically you're just picking up the character. You would decide what skills and stuff they have, and then, you know, obviously we get passed on to the next person. Then they might have a different vision. They can add or subtract or whatever from there. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to do. It's my intention. Use Discord for all the chatting and the voice stuff, because it's easy to manage for me. And then what am I trying to say? Oh yeah, and then I have like I said, the dice roller built into that, so that way it'll help, because all the dice rolls are there, so that when I do my post-production, which is taking the the raw video footage of when you and I played, and then I can turn that into a much shorter, much more succinct video, and all the notes about like who rolled what when are all there in the Discord, so it's all really easy for me. That is my intent as I kind of set out to do this. And I want to pause there before going any further. What do you all think of that? So I will say up front, the first folks who are going to be able to game with me are patrons. I think that is absolutely fair. These are folks who have supported me on good weeks and bad, and just been absolute joy and a blessing every single month. And so YouTube members and patrons will be the first ones in. And, you know, also means they'll be my guinea pigs, but I'm really hoping if you, care enough to support my wife and I, you can kind of work with me through some blunders. And so it'll start off that way, and we'll schedule a time. Like I said, I'm going to have, my ultimate goal is to do games twice a week, where I have one in set for UK players, you know, Europe, I should say just all of Europe really, and one for North America players as far as time zones go. And we'll break up into pods and that kind of stuff and organize all that there. Let's see. Mechanically, that sounds very sound. Should be a blast. Yeah, and you know, and honestly, I do still want to do Soulbound, like an actual full DM thing. But I do want to learn the game a bit more. There are just, my character has been so limited on options and things that I feel like I'm not learning as much as I could be, and so that's definitely something that's on my mind. So I'm going to do that, but it's going to take a little bit. Whereas this is the thing, because the rules exist, I can actually create a very quick, easy tutorial for folks who want to game with me. So like, let's say if you're a patron in the beginning, I'm going to create a video that's like, hey, here's how you play Warhammer Silver Tower, and then kind of just explain like, this is what I personally am going to be doing, taking care of rules-wise, that kind of stuff, just to help people acclimate and just jump right in, get straight to the fun. And the rest of it will be, you know, focused on role-playing your character and having a good time with that kind of stuff. Not worrying about the rules too much, because like I said, I'll take care of all of that. And I will not just be a GM, I will also be running a character. Whichever character seems to be the least popular, that is what I will run. And that's about it. Mainly because, so to search a new room in the game, you have to spend an action. And so my thought is, well, if I have a character, I can just be the one who's always searching rooms, and that way my party, my guests, will always have, you know, they'll always be able to have their actions be used for actually going in there and wrecking stuff and fighting. They don't have to waste their actions on exploring rooms. I think that would make the most sense from an entertainment perspective. But yeah, and so it's not just a matter of playing the game, it's also just hanging out. You know, I expect each of those sessions to kind of go for a couple hours, so it's just some quality time. And I think that could be a ton of fun. Give me just 1 second. I'm just doing... So my absolute... I joked about Gilliam and Flesh being the best, or at least kind of like the simplest Caucasian skin. My absolute favorite for dark skins, you take a 2-to-1 mix of contrast medium to Cygor brown contrast, and it is just the perfect dark skin base because it creates these nice shadows, and then you can go up higher with whatever highlight tones you want, but absolutely wonderful. Don't think I missed anything. Looking good. Let's see. Tectonic Craft Studios. Oh god, I want that so bad. If I send you a painted hero, can we use that one? If there's rules for it? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. As long as there's rules for him, it makes it easy to follow. I feel like I've already got a lot of stuff to keep track of, so if you want to do that, that is all on you to organize. That is how I outsource. Basically, if anyone's like, oh yeah, I got your cool idea, I'm going to take it to the next level, I'm like, cool, you do that. Send me a postcard. Oh man. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that. Now, obviously, Warhammer Quest Silver Tower and Cursed City are different games. My assumption is, just based on the cards and stuff like that, there are some mechanical differences. However, they are not great. Like I can look at the card for, I think on that preview image they had the card for the lady with the eagle on her shoulder, and you can see the details on her card. Like the language is the same. The core mechanics I think are very similar. It's the stuff in terms of like how you manage dice, and there's just different kinds of dice rather than everything being a d6, which is wonderful. So that kind of stuff, but those are all minor things. And honestly, one of the things I want to do, so I want to start with Silver Tower because it is a simpler game, and that'll be great learning for me. But once Cursed City comes out, I really wouldn't mind going back and kind of retrofitting Silver Tower, kind of updating it, and honestly, not because it helps anybody else out per se, but because it just gives us more content, more stuff to walk through, play through, that kind of thing. So there's all of that as far as like hanging out with the community, interacting, and that kind of thing. Now, also, in addition, there's also a new product coming out from the company Army Painter, which I am very excited about. And I've mentioned this a few times, but it's called Game Master. And what it is an all-in-one set to get you started on creating your own role-playing game tiles. Much like the tiles, well, three-dimensional tiles. I was going to say much like the tiles used for Warhammer Quest, but they're not, because instead of just being art, like a gloss, semi-gloss varnish finish on a cardboard art piece, like the tiles are here. This is like actually like cutting foam board to create your own custom tiles, that kind of stuff, the artsy-fartsy style. And so I am going to be getting an advanced copy of that, the Game Master thing, and so it is my intention to create some custom tiles, and we can kind of design our own little game and world and that kind of stuff. So I'm very, very excited. I sent an email out to Games Workshop and I was like, hey, listen, I got a lot of people excited about Warhammer Quest. I'd love to, interview or chat with somebody about the changes and that kind of stuff. And of course, they haven't gotten back to me, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll do my own thing if they don't want to interact. They got their own stuff going on. That wasn't meant to sound spicy or jaded or anything like that. They've got their own thing going on with how they reveal their products and information and stuff. So I understand if they don't want to, but I had to put the invitation out there. It's like, hey man, like let me get Sam Pearson or something like that. Whoever's on the design team, I don't care, on my show, and like let's just ask them questions about what's fun and exciting, and obviously we can keep it kind of tame so there's no spoilers, but what does the new game offer people who liked some of the older ones? But anyway, that's my thought here. Let's see. Hey Doug, I'd love to get some advice on painting flesh without coffee stains. You mean with contrast paints? For me, I would just pick a good highlight color, and then you can go over the highest parts of the muscly area with a layer paint. For me, whenever I'm doing skin stuff, I do like to do the contrast because it blocks the color out for me, so visually it helps me. And then I go back over it with, so for example on the Gilliman Flesh one, I'm going to go back over this with Kislev Flesh, and I'm only going to pick out like the biggest muscle parts, like his, I don't know, pick one of many bulges on this guy. I'll go back over it with that, just to kind of make it really easy on myself and pick it out. That's basically what I do. I like to do contrast plus a layer paint is kind of my preferred thing. If you're curious about other stuff, we're about to dive into some of that right now, because we have, I'm going to jump into the paint scheme that was shown to me on stream, which is basically what is this, Iron Rack Skin, and when that's all dry, we'll go back over it with Agrax Earthshade, and then kind of pick out the highlights with Deepkin Flesh. Let's see. Oh, BioFoot, I'm so sorry. I didn't see your thing. I'll keep a better eye out. Yes, the next song that people don't like, please, please, please let me know. Do you think it'll be weekends or weekday nights? Great question, Dan. So Tectonic Craft Studios asked the question, when will the scheduling be? Essentially, so I have a large list of patrons and YouTube members, and I appreciate all of you. And here's basically the way I'm going to do it is I created a Discord. I'm not ready to share it yet. I still have to do some tuning on it. And I'm going to have chats for groups based on your location, whether it's North America, kind of Europe, that kind of stuff, or Australia. We can add that later. And so what I'm basically going to do is drop in. I'm going to pick 4 people and be like, hey, listen, you guys are next up on the list. Let's coordinate a time. Sometime, X week. And it'll be a little bit out so that people have time to actually plan their lives, because I hear that people have children sometimes. I'm not one of them, but you know what I mean. And so we'll give everyone a chance to kind of plan their lives together. But that's essentially how I want to do it, is I'll just pop in. Hey, instead of like trying to coordinate a night that works for how many patrons and subscribers and that kind of stuff. Instead, I'm just going to pick the 4 people that are going on that specific night's adventure, and we'll kind of sort it out from there. So I do not have an answer for you. I thought that was the most sensical system in terms of get this group in, 3 weeks. We'll meet. We agreed we could do Saturday night, and that's just what we'll do. But having those be in 2 different groups is helpful for me, because then, I personally can work my schedule with my wife and, doctor's appointments and all these kinds of things that, just normal day-to-day stuff that people have to do around that kind of schedule. So I think that'll work out well. Let's see. Caleb, did you mention that you were a Warhammer hero when you asked? When I asked, what did I ask? I'm sorry. Oh, when I asked for information. It's Games Workshop. I like to think they know that I'm a Warhammer hero. But here's the thing. That doesn't really mean anything. I hate to say it. It's not like I've achieved some next echelon of social hierarchy. It's not quite that. It's more just I have a cool little medal in my background in my videos now. That's basically what I got. That's the extent of my power that gives me. It's kind of like the whole thing of if you own a piece of land in Scotland, you're like a duke or whatever. It's just yeah, or a lord, maybe that's what it is. It's just yeah, you can have that small patch of square ground. It doesn't mean anything. Nobody actually cares. But it makes you feel special. It's that's basically what it is. But yes, no, they do not care. Oh, man. Proud self for passing on the Bulges joke. Oh, yes, I threw it out there for people. We have fun. Let's see. Nice little bits of this guy's layer here. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, suggestions on the Cursed City thing? I think, I went to kind of just sat down yesterday and kind of outlined how I think it would work in terms of communicating with the groups, and obviously the Discord will help with having all the scheduling and voice stuff in one place. That's a huge help. But I think overall it should be fairly simple, and then in post-production I can kind of let myself go a little more wild in terms of I can have the whatever hero is active at the time, I can put their hero card on the screen so everybody can see it, and the dice that they have, that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about doing that live. I can take my time with that. So yeah, so in the moment it's all about just giving everyone a fun a fun night of hanging out and gaming, but then in post-production I can turn it into a video kind of a thing. But yeah, it's Tuesday night all over again. Yes, my Soulbound group got a little, shall we say, distracted by the liberal use of our GM's use of the word taint when it comes to chaos in the land, and it was a great adventure for all of us. We cleansed the forest in Gurion to completion, and nary a spot was left tainted. So we had a wonderful time, laughed far too much at far too childish things, and really, what more could you ask for? Let's see. All right, everyone, you hear Doug? He wants a patch of land in Scotland. There is some stupid thing where like you can rent essentially a plot of land for like a day or something. I can't remember what it is, but yeah. Let's see. Apocalyptic Moth, do you think they're going to get any expansions for Curse City? Yes. I think they learned from Blackstone Fortress how to make those things work product-wise. That's kind of my thought. Any news and rumors on the price? Nope. The taint of Slaanesh is strong in this place. Yeah, well, what's awesome is you say that, and this is what my screen looks like. We've got Sigvald in the background. Okay, so for these guys, let me take a look at my... I'm actually thinking of having these guys match my Slaves to Darkness. Here we go. So let me know your thoughts, because I do love the kind of John Blanche-esque style. So red and yellow, but like a faded, rough-looking red and yellow. So they have like this like kind of pseudo royalty, you know, austere look. But then the white, which would be their little, I don't know, skirts they're wearing, would be this gross, very haggard, shredded up looking dirty color. And so lots of dark tones, that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I was envisioning for them. Obviously dark wrought iron. Yeah. That's kind of what I had in my mind as far as like the shoulder pauldrons and stuff. I guess I could, yeah, just do the same patterns, that kind of stuff would be really cool. So what do y'all think about that? I'm going to throw down my wash here. Give me one sec. X, here we go. Thoughts on the Tome of Champions 2020 co-op rules? Co-op rules. I don't remember co-op. I remember single player. Is that what you mean? Thoughts on the co-op rules? Yeah, Lee, clarify for me what you mean. I have the book behind me. I think I can grab it if you have a page number or something. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. Then again, I haven't, you know, I got plugged immediately into the Star Wars Legion thing going on, so I haven't had as much time to look at the Tome of Champions as I would have loved. You kids have fun, have to go adult. See you later, buddy. Take it easy. So I did this same technique where it's the Iron Rack skin, a mix of a wash, like a half and half of a wash, and then Deepkin Flesh. And I did it with a few different washes. I did it on my, what are they called? Not Untamed Beasts, the Unmade. And I really, really liked it. I tried it with... What did I try it with? Agrax Earthshade, Colia Green Shade. That one looked really good. It just, the I also did like a teal armor, and so the combined teal armor with that skin wash didn't look good, but they individually looked awesome. Like they would look great on different models, but there we go. Like you and the other team against AI monsters for convergence battles. Oh, I didn't see that. I must have missed it. What section is it under? Like narrative or open? Maybe it was under open. I'll be honest, I'm as guilty as other channels for kind of skipping past the open play stuff. There's fantastic reasons to use it, but none that I come into contact with day to day. Like there are some really cool things. I used way too small of a brush to get. Allow me a medium. There we go. Two more dudes to paint, so we gotta load this sucker up. I was like being all coy with it. But yeah, open play stuff has a lot of cool things and cool ideas, but I tend to stick with a few other things. Here we go. But that's rad. There we go. Now we're banging on all cylinders. Much better wash brush. Probably gone a little heavier with that Agrax, but that's alright. We can add more depth there. Man, these guys were so cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. So somebody asked earlier what my next army project's gonna be. I still have the Skaven. That's a painting project I do want to do. But in terms of armies that'll probably see the table, Tzeentch, apparently. Tzeentch Mortals specifically, because the last time I did Tzeentch, I did all demons, and then I decided I don't like all demon armies, which is why I never did another one afterwards. All the Nurgle stuff I had was just in support of the Mortals, so I could summon something. But let's see how this half and half looks on this guy. It looks alright. It looks fine. Don't think I'll do it on others, but I do often put a wash on top of contrast paints because I think it helps kind of smooth out the color just a smidge. But yeah. Let's see. Are you going to paint the Stormcast Mini on today's stream or another time? Another time. I wanted to give it at least 24 hours before I settle on a scheme and paint that up. But I will do it on air. How about that? It's under challenge battles. Okay, I'll check that out. Apocalyptic Moth. What's your least favorite army? Okay, I'm going to break this down a few different ways. Least favorite army in terms of mechanically how they play. Ooh. Least favorite army. I'm probably going to go with Gloomspite Gitz because I want there to be so much more. Like the fact that they have gotten 3 magazine updates because the base book didn't offer as much, I think is quite telling. And I've loved all the supplement stuff that's come out for them. Like it's really been fun. So I'm going to go with that. As in terms of like actual how it functions. Then when it comes to, I want to try one thing here. I want to see what Crimson Wash does on the dark skin. If it just adds a little bit of coolness to it. But, so yeah, I'm going to say that as far as models go, Skaven 110%. And that has nothing to do, I mean, there are some of the best model kits that Games Workshop has made, and some of them are just ancient, and GW store managers should feel bad for selling them to people. You know, when it comes to like, you know, $30 for this old metal, warp fire thrower. I'm like, okay, come on. You can have enough self-awareness to know that you're not selling a quality product. Sell it at its price that it should be, kind of a thing. And I say that half in jest. But, I don't know. That's probably the faction just because of the nature of some of those older sculpts. I'm like, really? You're going to price it that much? As far as least favorite army to play against, for the longest time it's been Legions of Nagash, because the one play style has just been sit on an objective and grind you out. And I mean, I just never found that to be very fun or interactive. I guess Deepkin has also made some feel badsies with charging on the top of turn 1 and then the rest of the, but the nice thing is that after turn 1, you can just go get a beer, or, your game is over. Go do whatever you want, essentially. That's kind of how I look at that. Yeah, that's probably what I would say. Those are my options for you. Pick one. Friends, I'm going to go ahead and wind down here. It's about 11:30. My voice is kind of giving out a smidge, and I got some more recording to do for episodes for you for the rest of this week. And so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it down. One thing I do want to throw out there, though, is that my good buddy, and he's been in the chat, Tectonic Craft Studios, makes some wonderful terrain, and he's just an awesome guy and hobbyist. His name's Dan. He is has started a Twitch channel, and so Dan, if you wouldn't mind, put your Twitch name in there, not the link, your actual Twitch account name, because the link will get spam filtered. But anyway, go ahead and throw that in there. And basically, as my show's ending, his is just beginning. So go hang out and get some more hobby progress done with another cool dude. You can ask Dan a million questions about things like Warcry and Marvel Crisis Protocol. He's a group leader for that game as well. Does a bunch of cool stuff. So he's a very awesome hobbyist. Much more, I would say, industry focused, where it's like he plays a bunch of different stuff, whereas I mostly stick to AOS, Warcry, and that kind of thing. So you want to make good dungeon tiles for D&D? Jamie, let me get my hands on the Game Master set I was talking about earlier from Army Painter. Look that up. It's called Game Master. It's a product that's just coming onto the market. It's all in one for creating those things. And if you go to the Army Painter YouTube channel, there's a mountain of tutorials on how to make really kick-ass stuff with it. So that'd be my suggestion. So anyway, go support these other people who make this hobby so much fun and engaging. And have yourselves a wonderful time. And of course, as always, happy wargaming. Friends, see you later.